Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this new episode of Inspiring Our World. I am super inspired today because I get to introduce one of the most beautiful young women in Nikken, Sophia DiMuccio.
Thanks,
Many
Julie.
of you know her. Yeah, she is very special. She's one of Mike DiMuccio's beautiful daughters and one of 3 kids. And we have a really exciting podcast for you today because we're going to talk about the power of the mind to create our lives. So welcome, Sophia, so much for being here. I just love it that we're doing this.
Thanks, Julie. I love any opportunity I get to talk about the power of the mind. And I especially love chatting with you because I know that you have the same passion as I do. And that's kind of, what brought us together and what attracted us to Nikken. So yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. And I'm really excited to see where this conversation goes today.
I know, it's going to be like the mystery tour. I know it. First of all, would you give us a little background just about you, your life, how you got into Nikken, so forth?
Sure. So I have been in Nikken since the day I was born. That's what I tell people all the time because I really was born into a Nikken home. My dad started his Nikken career at 27 years old, and I think I was born when he was around 30 or 31. So by the time I was born, he had already become a millionaire with Nikken and built a really successful organization. And, I just kind of came into this world with all the Nikken products around me, but also with the community around me. My dad would travel around the world with me, my dad and my mom, and bring me on stage with them at some events as a little 1-year-old baby.
I remember. It's
yeah.
So beautiful.
I mean, you remember, I don't remember, but I know that's how the story goes. And yeah, just growing up in the Nikken environment always taught me first and foremost that my health was the most important thing that I had. And second, that my time was the second most important thing that I had in my life. My dad, I really got to see him live and is living a very full life because he's always had complete control over his time, and he's always been able to take really great care of his health and help others do the same things for themselves. He's basically been work optional for as long as I can remember. And I just love that he's really gotten the freedom to travel, to take us with him traveling, to go and have like really amazing, luxurious experiences in our lives. We've really had an extremely high quality of life that I know most of the planet will never get to experience. So that's all because of Nikken. It's all because the decision he made 30 years ago to start and to take it and to run with it. And I just feel really blessed that I got to grow up in this environment of people who really understand wellness is not just something from the outside in, it's also from the inside out. Who understand like the full picture of wellness. It's about your body, your body health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your financial health, your familial health, the health of your society, the contribution you're making. It's about the purpose that you have in the world, the meaning of your life. And so for me, I've always had this holistic and multidimensional view of what health really is and what living a life on purpose really is. And that's all because of Nikken. So yeah, about a year ago, I decided to start my own Nikken business. Being a recent graduate of aerospace engineering, I knew that wasn't what I was passionate about.
But it's amazing that you did it.
Right? It is cool. It is awesome that I did it.
Yes. Congratulations.
It was a challenge along the way, and I'm proud of myself that I was able to push through that experience. But yeah, I always knew that wasn't what I was going to pursue like for my career. Mm-hmm. And when I looked around at the options for what I could do, I really saw that Nikken had a lot of the things I was looking for. And especially after seeing the lifestyle that my dad was able to create for himself, I knew that I wanted the same thing. You can't really, if you put yourself in my shoes, you grow up watching your dad wake up when he wants to wake up, go to sleep when he wants to go to sleep, work when he wants to work, travel when he wants to travel, go to fancy, nice things when he wants to go to fancy, nice things, relax when he wants to relax. Like, you get to watch this your entire life growing up. You can't imagine life any other way. You can't imagine, having to clock in somewhere and having to commute somewhere and sit and do something that you don't love, because it's another thing is my dad loves what he does. He feels so much purpose and fulfillment and meaning from it. Yes. And, he was talking to us about his business 24/7, even as we were like 6-year-olds in the car who didn't really get it. So I could tell he always loved it. He was super passionate about it. And it's like, I can't imagine not being that passionate and committed to the work that I do either. Yeah. So, I saw all these traits, and I knew that's what I wanted in my career and in my lifestyle. And I think that Nikken is an amazing option to create that for yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you had such an incredible upbringing, and I know you lived in Barbados for years, and we would see pictures of you swimming, and it was like just so stellar is a word that comes to my mind, like just a stellar lifestyle, but in so many ways. And it is amazing to me that you followed in your father's footsteps around aerospace engineering. Like, I was like, wow, that's incredible. And now you've sort of had this further opening, I'm going to say, into really empowering people with the mind, the spirit, with your company, Mind Palace.
Yeah,
so let's talk about that. Yeah. Like, how did that happen? Like,
so it's actually coincidentally also related to Nikken, but I think I always was really passionate about the mind and how the mind influences our reality. But it really hit me like how much I loved this. I remember it was in the summer of 2018, my dad took me and my sister to LA for a Bob Proctor Paradigm Shift convention. Great. And it was like a 3-day convention. And, Bob was somebody that my dad worked with very closely for 14 years because Bob was working with Nikken.
Yes.
And, I know his wife was involved with Nikken, and he really loved Nikken. Fun fact, Bob was actually the first person to hold me after my parents on the day that I was born.
Wow.
So he's been an influential mentor in my life since literally day one. But yeah, we went to this convention in LA, and it just completely changed my life. At the time, I was working, doing an internship at an aerospace company in Toronto, and I absolutely hated it. I was really miserable every single day that I had to get up at 5 a.m. and commute for an hour, and live the desk life job. And just, it was not for me. It was really sucking the life out of me. And I just remember feeling very lost at that time in my life, and feeling like, I knew, this isn't where I wanted to be, but I didn't know what my path was. And I didn't know how to change the trajectory that I was on. I just kind of felt stuck. And a little bit like hopeless. And I went to the convention and heard all these things Bob was saying about how, in order to change your reality, you don't change it from the outside in, you change it from the inside out. You have to change your state of being first. You have to make a committed decision in your mind that things are going to be different, without knowing how they're going to be different, without knowing how that change is going to come across, just knowing what is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And if you're willing to make that committed decision, then everything can change around you, because your reality is just a manifestation of what you believe to be true. So I was like, you know what? I got nothing to lose here.
Yeah.
Let me try this stuff out and see if it works.
Yeah. I want to touch in on the decision piece before we go further into how that extrapolated out. How would you define that committed decision? What does that look like, feel like, taste like, sound like, be like?
That's actually like continuing on the story. is what I decided to do. So I made a decision. That's what I did at that workshop, at that event that was so transformational, was I made a decision that I love what I do. That was it. Because I knew that I wanted to find a career path that I really loved with my whole heart and enjoyed. And I knew that if I wanted to find that path, whatever that would be, because I had no idea what it was at the time, I had to embody that state of being right here, right now, in the career that I was in. So I walked into the office the next day, and like I said, I was really like, I got nothing to lose. Let me just really try this out and see what happens. So I walked into the office on that Monday morning after the convention, and I just remember having a hop in my step and a big smile on my face, and just feeling like I was, in the career of my dreams, and I was doing such meaningful work and impacting so many people. Imagine having that feeling even though nothing around you has changed. Really using your imagination, using your now I've learned that this is a term called embodiment, truly embodying the experience that you want to have before it's happened.
Yes.
Rewiring your physiology. And I think because I went to the convention and there was all that energy, and I was with Bob and everything, it really gave me the surge I needed to get into that vibration. Sometimes it's not as easy if you don't have the help and the mentorship to do that.
Yeah.
But I really just quantum leaped into this whole new reality where I was living the life of my dreams. And, I was doing really amazing, meaningful work that I love to do. And there's nowhere else I'd rather be except that office. And things started to change really quickly for me. Within the first day, I was moved from a desk that was very isolated from everyone else in the office, that was in this dark little corner, to a desk that was right in the middle of all my peers, right next to this big window. And if you've worked in an office, you know how crucial it is to have sunlight next to you, because if you don't have a window next to you, you're not seeing the sun all day.
Yes.
At some times of the year, especially in Toronto. So yeah, it was such a big shift, and I started showing up differently, and I started creating more meaningful relationships with the people I was working with, really getting to know them, because I was different. I was more open to it. I started to receive better assignments for work, ones that didn't require me to be in the desk all day, but where I could get up and I could go explore, the facility and just have more dynamic work experiences. So the last 2 months of the summer of that internship ended up being completely different from the first 2 months. And it's only because I had shifted my internal state. And
yes.
from that shifting of internal state, I really started to get a lot of downloads and realizations about what I would really love to do, and realized my ultimate passion is the mind. I'm so fascinated with it, and how we build belief systems, and how our thoughts influence our actions, and then how our actions influence our external world, and how there's a ripple effect, and how your energy field, the way it shifts and changes, affects the results you get in your life. And so I really just started to go deep into that, reading all the books I could get my hands on. I eventually decided to start my passion project, which is now transforming into a business called the Mind Palace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which we're going to go into. So there's a couple of things in there that's really powerful. I actually just read another book on manifesting it's called The 8 Secrets to Powerful Manifesting. I don't know if you've come across Mandy Morris, but she's doing a lot of that work. And she talks a lot about many things, but vibration, of course, self-love, but also embodying your future self. And I know that with Niken, we always talk a lot about that. When you want to go to the next level in Niken, you want to embody that who are you as a gold, as a platinum, as a gold, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful. And you mentioned Quantum Leap, the word, and that's actually the name of my business, is Quantum Leap International. And that just came very intuitively to me, but, partly because the products, the quantum shifts that happen when you're in those fields and so forth. But I think a lot of it is taking a quantum leap to a higher possibility, a higher timeline of your destiny in the world, a higher timeline. And when you make that leap, and you don't know how things are going to show up, but you know that that's the truth of who you are and where you're meant to be in the world and how that feels, that's when, as you say, all those things started shifting from the very movement of your desk, so significant. I've only ever worked in an office once, and I luckily was right by a window, and it was my saving grace,
Yeah.
So I just wanted to cover that, because I think people often think that they're here, and where they want to go is over here. And what you have to do is collapse time and space to bring that out there, that wish fulfillment, into the now. You can't, otherwise you're always going for something that isn't. You have to embody it fully, that it's already happened on the invisible planes, on the higher levels, really, the higher dimensions. This I find fascinating.
Yeah, because I think the most, what's interesting is that the how follows the who, like if you are being the person who already has that thing, then now you're thinking on a whole new frequency. You're feeling on a whole new frequency. You're thinking on a whole new frequency. So the thoughts you would have had as your previous self are not the thoughts you're going to have as this new self. That's what true embodiment is. And so the thoughts of this new self are naturally going to know the how of how it's going to happen. It might come as spurts of inspiration and intuitive downloads, and maybe you run into somebody that you haven't seen in a while who happens to have this connection that takes you where you need to go, or whatever, or you just show up differently one day. You treat this day like the best day of your life. You step into an Uber, start chatting up the Uber instead of, playing small and kind of just being on your phone and to yourself. And this Uber driver gives you this piece of information that you really need to get to this next step. And it just unfolds so naturally because you're in this new state of vibration and you're showing up differently. You're thinking differently. People are feeling into your energy so much differently. It's really cool how that happens, and I've experienced this happen so many times now in my life. It's crazy.
And now your company, I know there's so many possibility places to go. Your company, with Mind Palace, I know you're really super with social media, you and your sister both, especially on Instagram, I think some Facebook. Now how has this parlayed into Niken? What's happened there? Give us your sort of story.
Well, yeah, I started the Mind Palace, the Instagram account, in 2019.
Okay.
October 2019. And since then, I've put out 339 posts on that page.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was just super consistent with showing up. There was no rhyme or reason to it. There was no plan. It was just, what am I really passionate about sharing today? What do I think could add value to someone's life today? And of course, having to do in the realm of mindset and manifestation and meditation. That's something that got brought into it. As I continued down that path, I started to discover new modalities of mind training. And I got clearer and clearer about what my unique message was and what I wanted to help people do as I took action, I got clear on what my personal brand and the feel of my brand and the tone of my brand was just as I took action. I think a lot of the times we wait for inspiration to hit us before we act, but it's actually by acting that inspiration comes.
That is a huge point. That is a huge point. Yeah. I was talking to a musician friend the other day, writes songs, and he said exactly that. It's you just have to move into action, and then it kind of opens the channels, and then you get the downloads, right?
Yeah, just don't think so much, just do. Yeah. So that's the same thing that happened with when I started my Niken business, is I just started posting about it authentically sharing what I felt was the benefits, sharing things that I think would help people start to think in a different way, and really educating my audience, because it's like, what don't they know about network marketing that they should know? Or what misconceptions might they have about it? Or why is it important that we find multiple sources of income? Why is it important for us to create ways of making money that aren't tied to our time? These are things that maybe my audience doesn't know because they're, young adults just like me, fresh out of university, who are just doing what they've been told to do their whole life. Let me plant some seeds and help them start thinking differently.
I love that.
Why is filtering your water important? Most people don't even know that it's bad to drink tap water. Yeah. That tap water is like poison, in a lot of ways. So I just started sharing things like that because I knew they would be valuable. I knew they would educate my audience. And, when you have something that's good, when you have something valuable to share, you just got to share it. And you just got to get over your own self-doubts and your own fears and own the value that you have in your opportunity.
And then did you start attracting people naturally through those channels?
Yeah. So I think you find your path as you walk the path, right? So of course, my dad taught us the method of writing down your 100 names and reaching out to people on that list. I did that, but for me, the more natural route was always, I just naturally let me just take to my social media, which I'd practiced already so many times with my Mind Palace account. I'd practice, how do I build relationships online? How do I create trust? How do I create engagement in my audience? How do I just inspire people and make them feel good today? Let my post be something they come across that just puts a smile on their face, that reminds them of their true innate power. Okay, so I got really good at that. And then for me, there was no hesitation. Let me just get online, start sharing about this business that we're starting, why we're starting it, what I've seen possible with it through my dad's experience. And people were curious. And so I created opportunities for engagement this was all happening through my stories on Instagram, not even really through posts or, other platforms. I haven't used TikTok. Facebook I haven't really had anything come from that either. It's all been through my Instagram page because I know that's where my audience is. And, people also want to do business with those that they know, like, and trust. We say that all the time, but it's people want to know you. They don't just want to know about your business. They want to know about you and what you believe in. Because if they resonate with who you are as a person, maybe they'll see that, hey, this is something she's doing, maybe I should be doing that too.
Yes.
Something I'm even exploring more now is the idea of kind of dating your audience, dating your followers, really taking an interest in them, really making an effort to build a relationship, to build trust with them. Treat it like a relationship, like a real life relationship.
Absolutely. 100%. That is how it works with network marketing, whether you're on social media or not. It is like a dating. It is a dance. It's a beautiful thing.
And that's what, makes people want to know more and, are curious and comfortable enough to ask questions. You know how many times I have, for example, I'm going to give an example of one of my team members right now. She's on my team. So this was somebody who went to my high school. Haven't really talked to her in a long time. And we ended up connecting over both, she was learning a lot about mind-heart coherence at the time. I, through my Mind Palace page, was talking about mind-heart coherence. We connected and I decided to, go out of my way and set up a coffee date with her, because that's just I feel if you really want to succeed in any business and just honestly have a rich and meaningful life, being able to go out of your way to connect with people and make them feel like yeah, like I want to get to know you. I'm interested in your life. And if we live close together, like let's just get together in person and talk and start building this friendship, this relationship. So yeah, I just reached out to her and we set up and we met. She lived really close to me, luckily. So we met. She came over to my house. And, you know, it was just to talk about things that we loved, about mindset, about her journey, like learning about mind-heart coherence and how she's, you know, been healing her through a lot of things herself. And I was like, that's great. That's awesome. You know, it wasn't about business. It was literally just about her and me and the interests that we had in common.
I love that. Was she doing heart math? I'm curious. Was she doing heart math work?
No, she was working with a therapist. Learning about mind-heart coherence. But yeah, heart math is pretty awesome.
Heart math, because they do a lot with magnetic fields. I went out to visit them a couple of years back, and they do a tremendous amount with magnetic fields and our hearts. And when our hearts are in peace and joy, and how that affects the field. You know? And it's just beautiful work. So
that is really cool.
Well, that's great. I think.
But afterwards, sorry, just to finish up the story. It was maybe like a few weeks later, she reached out to me because she saw I was doing a yoga teacher training and she wanted to do it too, but she expressed to me that she didn't have the money. And I said, well, I have a pretty cool way that you can start making some extra income if you're interested in learning more about it. And she said to me, you know, yeah, I've seen you post a lot on your social media about that. It looks pretty cool. I'm open to learning more. And now fast forward, like, I don't even know how long it's been, over 6 months for sure. And she's like one of, you know, my favorite, one of the best people like that I've ever worked with.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I love working with her. She's awesome. She's just my like dream partner. So
and that's huge. When Nika and we get to work with people we really love and that we resonate with on that higher frequency, I think that's one of the best blessings of it. There are many blessings to Nika, but that's a huge one that you get to work with people you love. Yeah.
So it's interesting though, because first, like, it's not like she couldn't have reached out on Instagram after seeing all these posts if she thought, hey, that, you know, we have this idea that if somebody's not engaging with us or they're not replying to what we're putting out there, that they think we're like weird and they're not interested in it. And they're like they're silently judging us or something. But I've experienced this so many times where people have told me like, oh yeah, I've seen you posting about that. That seems really cool. Wait, what is that all about? And they're actually curious and asking me questions, but they do it more in person because that's when they see like, I guess, how approachable I am and really like get this like vibe of openness. And you know, people just basically to say like, the more visible you can make yourself, the more approachable you can make yourself, the more you can really let someone know you care about them as an individual and you want to build a personal relationship with them. That's what's going to open up the conversation if there is a need. And I really think as Nikan consultants, it's important for us to, you know, this might be a little controversial, but not just invite anyone in to our business, to really be intentional about the people that we are inviting into our business, because these are going to be lifelong partners. Like, you wouldn't just marry anyone off the street, right? If you really want to build like a legacy business, like make sure you're working with people who really share the same values as you and who have the same desires as you. And there are people who you like would want to just like do life with. And be friends with.
Totally. And that are coachable as well, that are willing to learn and willing to stretch and, you know, allow you to coach them. I think it's so important. So building relationships is really the most important skill you can learn here. And then from there, let it just be natural. Let it be natural and organic and authentic. You're in this for the long run. You're not in this for like
quick cash. That's not what we're about here.
No, not at all. Building out the Nikan Global community. It's a wonderful community. I love our community. It's, people that are of like mind, like heart, that really want to make a difference in the world. And that's fundamentally, we're servant leaders. And I love that. So, we're coming to the end of our time, but let's talk just for a moment about the future. What do you see about the future of our world, your generation, Nikan?
I think that, I really think we're at a point in history where a lot is shifting. I think, especially looking at, like, from an economic standpoint, how many people are now not settling for in-person jobs. Everyone wants to work online. Everyone wants to have a lifestyle of freedom where they can choose when and where they work, and they can, spend their time and their days the way they want. I think people are really starting to realize how important our time really is, and starting to see through, social media, how many opportunities there are to make an income completely online so that you can work when you want and where you want,
Digital nomads, it's the time.
Yeah, this is like the future. Is people are not going to be going into work anymore. People don't want that. I know everyone I've talked to in my generation, they're just like, yeah, I work from home and I will only take a job that lets me work from home.
Yep.
Period. And so I think that puts Nikan in a really awesome position, because that's what we've been doing for so long, Yes. We are literally experts at creating an income online. So really leaning into that point and helping people see, like, what a great opportunity this is, not only to be able to work online, but to be able to work on your own time from where you want, without having to, really answer to anyone except your own inner authority, I also think, I hear everyone talking about a recession these days, which I think also is really, it's a really great selling point for why to join Nikan right now, because ultimately, the more sources of income you can create for yourself, the more security you're going to have. It's like, you can't just rely on one source of income anymore. And that's something that I've been learning, some reason why I've been trying to diversify my sources of income as well. I think that, especially if you can put some time and energy into creating a business that's self-sustaining, like, and then you freed up more time to go and work on other things. Mm-hmm. Like that's the best way. That's how millionaires become millionaires. They build a business. It starts to become self-sustaining. They move on, they build the next business until it becomes self-sustaining, move on, build the next business, or, and that's it. And this is just a great way for literally anyone can do that. You don't have to have any special expertise or training. You really, it's a low investment cost business. You're not expected to invest thousands of dollars to get started. Yeah. Right? It's very accessible for the average person to just join and start and grow a multi-million-dollar business from very, very little.
Yes.
But of course it does require time and energy, and it requires your dedication. That's going to be the same across the board. If there's anyone trying to sell you a quick, easy, build this Amazon drop shipping business and you're going to be a millionaire in 6 months, like, don't listen to them, because they're lying to you. That is just not the reality.
That we're passionate about. We want
right. And then of course, it's like, are you doing something that actually, like, matters? Because that's the only way it's going to be sustainable, is if it's something that's going to matter today, it's going to matter tomorrow, it's going to matter forever. And health is never going to go out of style. And I actually think wellness is just going to get more and more in style as time goes on. Yes. Because I think that this is really like the era of healing for humanity. I think that we're going to stop focusing on, like, we're going to stop getting paid for how much we can achieve, and instead our economy is going to shift to a healing economy, and we're going to get paid to help each other heal. That's really where I see the future of humanity going. And if you hear this message and you resonate with it, then you should be part of the Nikan community, because you probably think the same way that all of us do. And you're probably here for the love revolution as well. And all you want to do is share the message of healing and of, wealth that has meaning and purpose, wealth that is in service to others, and community. Community is really what we're all about here at Nikan. So yeah, if those are the things that really light you up, then this is a place where you're going to feel like you really belong.
And that's a big thing, belonging to a community that you really resonate with, that is committed to that high vibration state of love, peace, and joy, and not living in the despair and the lower vibrations of guilt or shame or any of that. It's huge. It's huge. Yeah. I love this conversation with you. I feel we could talk for hours about this. I truly do. But we are up to our time. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this with me. I love what you're up to. I think it's spot on. And you already have great success with Nikan, but I know your success with Nikan is going to flower like a beautiful rose, because that's who you are. That's who you are. Totally.
Thanks, Julie. I appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely. Well, thanks to you, and thanks to everyone who is listening here to this fabulous episode. Don't forget to connect with us through YouTube or Spotify or Google Podcasts, whatever is your way, Apple Podcasts. And of course, on the YouTube channel, you can like and you can comment as well. We'd love to hear your comments. So I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And thanks again, Sophia, for your fabulous insights and wisdom.
It was a pleasure, Julie. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye for now, everyone.